Hello tankers and tankettes, welcome to a bit of live recorded gameplay, and we're going to be looking at tank destroyers today because I have a few new ones in my garage. Most of my recent acquisitions seem to have been tank destroyers. The main one I'm going to be looking at is the reward StuG, which I got just yesterday. It isn't particularly great, it's not awful. I mean, the worst thing about it is that it has regular matchmaking, but you have the gun of the Hetzer. It's 110 pen and 110 damage. Now for tier 5 and tier 6 that is okay, but for tier 7s it's horrendously inadequate, and the premium ammo is only 158, so you don't even get that much extra premium pen on this thing. So that alone makes it thoroughly lackluster, but it isn't awful. It does have a really good hull traverse, it's 44 degrees, and the aim time on the gun, it's 1.6. You don't actually need a gun laying drive on this thing. You turn and you're practically fully aimed already. So that saves it from being truly terrible, but if you ever get a tier 7 game, yeah. So we're going to give that a go. I might actually also give my Jagdpanther 2 a go, and you can see there, I did all 5 personal missions, yes, including the artillery. And so therefore I got 5 of the female crew. And the great thing about these crew is that not only do you start with brothers in arms, but you also basically get a free crew skill, and as you're training up the next crew skill after that, that still only counts as your first crew skill in terms of the XP that you need to get. So it's worth getting these crew members, and I was actually tempted to go and do for the StuG missions. I had a couple of the final missions. I think I had, was it 3 of 4, 2 of 4, something like that. I had, no, it would have been 3 of 4. No, 2 of 4. Yeah, no, 2 of 4. I had with, I completed them, but not with honours. And I thought, no, I'm actually going to go and do the 5th one rather than try and redo those and complete with honours, because I was having real trouble doing the final light tank mission. But I decided I was going to get all 5 because I wanted all 5 crew members, just because you get a really nice bonus. These are very good crew to have in terms of starting off with some good XP. The Jagdpanther 2 is, I've heard very good things about it. Obviously, Serkon's fond of it. I have used free XP to unlock the tracks. I didn't have anything like enough free XP for the top gun, so I don't have that. So we're going to be playing with the same gun on the Jagdpanther essentially. And the other tank I might look at if we have time is the Archer. And as I've said previously, I'm going for the British Technical Engineer badge, which involves playing the new tanks. The Archer is awkward, very, very awkward. It basically, much like the Crusader SP, drives faster backwards than it does forwards because the gun is essentially pointing backwards on this thing. This is actually the front of the tank, but even when you're driving backwards, you don't go that fast. It's much like the CGC in that you really don't want to get spotted. The gun is good, but you have no armour. The awkward handling and the rather lackluster speed means that if you get spotted, you're probably going to die rather rapidly. So unlike something like the StuG, where you've got the mobility to be really sneaky and run away, although the gun is actually better than the StuG's gun, it's just an all-round more awkward machine. So we're going to start off with the StuG 4. That's not the StuG 4. Well done me, I can click. And I'm actually going to put this crew in there because, a bit of XP would be nice. And I'm also going to put on a camo net rather than binoculars because, much like the regular StuG, the StuG 3, it has an absolutely awful view range. So there's not much point in having binos on this thing. It feels like it's better to be stealthy rather than the other thing. So fingers crossed we don't get tier 7 matchmaking. And we're top tier. Okay, now this is good. This is about the best that we could hope for, really. Now, matchmaking, it's still slightly stacked against us. For some reason, the enemy team has more tier 5s. Because reasons. But we have a KV-1 platoon, and hopefully they're okay. The enemy team does have a KV-220. That's going to be a significant problem, potentially, if our team don't know where to shoot it. I know where to shoot it, I just hit it in the turret over and over, and the regular AP ammo on this gun should be sufficient, but we'll see. So, I will not be too aggressive to begin with, I don't think. He's got 57 mil. They're not all using the same gun, which is interesting. I could go north, but I don't really want to just go and hold the north on my own. It's not that kind of a machine. I mean, when you're top tier, depending on what you're facing, and it's the same with the StuG 3 as well, you have enough frontal armor that you can sometimes get troll bounces. But it's not something that you should ever really count upon. If you're relying on your armor in this thing, you're probably doing it wrong. And it definitely is a bit less mobile than the StuG 3, but it's not bad. You can reach 40 on flat ground. The acceleration isn't going to knock your socks off. But it's the matchmaking that really doesn't make this a particularly good machine. If it had better matchmaking, then it would be alright. And bear in mind, this is a reward tank. You don't get any extra credits for this thing. Some reward tanks have a bonus to crew XP. I don't think that any of the mission reward tanks actually do. I could be wrong. But it does have a similar thing to premium tanks in that you can basically drop any tank crew of the correct class into it. Get that 3A NA again. No, you're being a bit sneaky. No, just behind some terrain now. I'm not really using the bushes here. But unlike most of my tier 5 TDs, because I tend to have progressed my crew, so I've kept 1 or 2 tier 5 TDs, but I started new crews in them. So this is actually one that's got a good crew for a change. Most of my tier 5 TDs have got fairly terrible crews. Like, I think I've got the bathtub, the French tier 5. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't know, but this is just it's okay. It's the kind of thing you might take out once in a while, but it's never going to be like, there's no special reason to take this out. For most people, this is just going to be a stepping stone on the way to the tier 9 and 10 reward tags, the T55 and the object 260, I want to say. I think it's 260. Now the 220 and the Churchill 3 are defending their base, and I'm just gonna put myself where I might actually be able to help defend ours, because that's all things with armor that aren't really going to be a problem for this gun. Like, the only armored tanks on the enemy side are that would be problematic are over defending their base. So you can see that at that aim time, I mean, that's what makes it not completely awful. Now the accuracy is actually not bad either, if I can actually aim, you know, well enough. Oh, that went a bit wild. That was a tricky shot to make anyway. But yeah, I mean, this gun, if it had limited matchmaking, if it had effectively the same matchmaking as the Hetzer, it'd be fine. But I just think you're not gonna. Oh, hello. Oh, that's a KB1. Okay, no, that is a heavy tank. There's also a T-34 coming around, which is not good. Depending on what gun he's got, he could. Well, he's got more hit points than me, and he might actually be able to, like, put out a rate of fire faster than me. So. Oh, that was a bad bounce. Nope, nope, nope. Ow. Right, that's the 76 mil. And this is bad because I can only take, what, another one of those hits? We're actually getting rapidly owned on all sides here. Like, it's a tier 5 tank destroyer. I think with the StuG, you might be, the StuG 3, you might be better off in terms of being able to cope with situations like this, just in terms of the extra mobility and the better gun. But for this, it is, it's just a case of, like, you need the team to be good enough, because the damage output probably isn't going to be quite sufficient. I got a sneaky shot in there, but like I said, he only has to really hit me. Well, can I drop down and be sneaky and get behind him? That might be best. You know, if I had a little more oomph with the engine. I'm actually going to just auto aim. Oh, surprise, Panzer 4H. Yeah, now I have to go forwards. I'm dead. Come on! Oh, he took out my engine as well. I just automatically went for the tracks. I didn't realise he'd also shot my engine. So yeah, it's not really particularly great. We might actually have this though. the Churchill 3 and the KV-220 went down is just those mediums. The B1 and the DW2 are going to have serious problems here, though, but they just need to stay alive long enough and not get killed by artillery. And they took down that T-34. Anyway, we'll go back to garage. I think we'll actually jump into the Archer, have a look at that. And then, if there's time, the Jagdpanther 2. But that's not really a priority for this video, because it's still, like, stock gun, essentially. So we are, you know, I'm not desperate to go and play that while I'm recording live while it's stock. Now this has got a better view range, it's got a better gun, but it's a regular vehicle. But having said it's a regular vehicle, you know, they have the same matchmaking. So this is still better than the StuG 4, I would say. But the 17-pounder, I mean, having mentioned the bathtub, one thing that the bathtub and the Archer get in common is that they both have that 17-pounder gun, and it's actually a stock gun for the bathtub. So it's nice for the British to actually finally get that gun at tier 5, because it's a very effective gun at tier 5. Now I actually stole my AT2 crew to put in the Archer, because the AT2 was just you know, a derping around for fun tank. And it had a reasonably decent crew, as you can see. I actually retrained. They all had repairs, because that's quite useful for an AT2. But I dropped repairs and actually put in camo as a crew skill, because I think that's going to be much more useful for the British tank destroyer line. They are all about not getting spotted, because none of them have any armour, in stark contrast to, of course, the Nuffield tank destroyers. Although, having said that, the Nuffield tank destroyers are, like, you can only rely on the armour of those so much, because, of course, they are riddled with weak spots. Otherwise, they might be a bit overpowered, especially at tier 5, when you just, like, what at tier 5, apart from derp guns, would be able to hurt the AT2 if it didn't have the commander's hatch weak spot. Not that many people know about shooting it through the gun mantlet, getting that armour hole. And that isn't actually even a weak spot that's repeated until tier 8. And also on the AT-15 as well, but the AT-15A rather, the tier 7 premium. Yeah, good driving there, Stuart. So, yeah, you have to drive this backwards, and the Crusader SP is exactly the same, except the Crusader SP is a much faster chassis than this thing. This is going really as fast as I can. It's not awful, you know, 30 isn't bad, but this team is all going to the valley. Literally, I mean, this is the advantage of being top tier is this gun's really effective when you're top tier. The disadvantage is tier 5 is still a tier where you can get a whole team of people that have literally no idea what they're doing. So we have a T-14 and a Matilda in the middle, and everyone else has gone to the valley. And this is really bad for an Archer, because I can't just... In an AT2, I just put myself in a defensive position, and I could rely on my armour to deal with some of the enemy tanks that would be coming at me from the city. If there are enemy tanks here, the enemy team might have all piled into the valley as well. That's a possibility. But this, in contrast, you know, way better gun than the AT2, which has got either a 6-pounder gun or the 3.7-inch derp gun, which is my personal favourite choice. But the payoff, you know, the trade-off rather, is that much like the Valentine AT, the actual the gun shield armor is terrible. The superstructure armor just generally is pretty terrible. And if people are shooting at the hull armor, well, they're effectively shooting at the rear armor of a Valentine, because this is the front armor. The front armor is actually at the back. And even then, it's probably... I haven't actually looked at it in Tank Inspector, but this rear armor is probably quite weak as well. So it's just weak armor all over the place. Actually, there are quite a lot in the valley on the enemy side, aren't there, really? And we've had a KB1 that's died already. But hey, Lake Vale at low tiers. But hell, you see this at higher tiers as well. You see people being exactly this bad. Now this Cruiser 4... he's still at the stage of, hey, I can turn the turret, and if I press the left mouse button, stuff comes out, and I can shoot, and it makes a cool noise. Pew 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 pew. Yeah, he's still at that stage of the game. Yeah, the valley just got annihilated. I don't even know if it's worth my time trying to defend. I'm just going to go through the middle. Why not? I'd almost prefer, and it's maybe the same with the bathtub, that the game, the way it works out balance-wise. I don't even know if any of the enemy team went to the city, to be honest. I think it was 2 epic lemming trains that just derped into each other. I lost my train of thought there. No, I forgot what I was going to say. This is the perils of recording live with my brain. Is that frequently I have no idea what I'm trying to say. But we might try this again. I haven't actually fired my gun yet. Oh, hello, there's a Cruiser 2 there. Oh, we actually won that Arctic region battle. I thought we would, because we still had a KV-1 left alive, basically. But yeah. Driving backwards, it's pretty awkward. I have to remember all of my old... can we actually hit that Cruiser? Total overkill. All my old Crusader SP reflexes. That's the word I was looking for. Yay! I killed a Cruiser 2. See, 171 pen is definitely enough to pen a tier 2 tank. We can in fact confirm that. So the hull traverse is at least pretty good on this. You can whiz it around fairly quickly, and it's actually got a little bit of gun depression, but that doesn't really matter when the superstructure is so damn weak. Whoop. Now he's got the dirt, which should be bad news for me. Wow, I just got spotted. Oh, well, obviously there's a little bit of a delay, but it was only when I popped up and fired that I actually got spotted, apparently. But because you don't have the armor, you don't really have that many hit points to trade away. I'm kind of not surprised this was a loss. I mean, maybe I could have stayed to defend, but in this thing, I would have lasted about 3 seconds. Like the 82, completely different play starters. Yeah, let's try that again. Because much like the StuG, you really don't have the armor or the hit points to make those kind of stands on your own. So I'll actually just take a quick look at that battle. I really didn't do very much in that one, but it was still better than half the our team. And more than half of the enemy team. And that actually came down to a cap, it looks like. There was an Armada 38T left. So, yeah, the perils of being top tier in tier 5. To actually try that again. I think I've got all the modules unlocked. I actually had... oh, no, okay. I have that gun from the other AT line, but it's got an intermediary AT gun, which you have to... 17-pounder AT gun that you have to unlock that I think it's also on the Challenger, apparently. Wow. It's on the Challenger, that thing, really? As the stock Challenger gun. The Challenger, I mean, this is the fly in the ointment of this line, is that it's the same gun from the Archer, you know, really good gun at tier 5, but the vehicle itself is a bit blur. The Achilles seems to be the kind of, and the Firefly of course uses a 17-pounder as well. Those two are probably in the sweet spot for having a turret and a 17-pounder. And then you have the tier 7 where it's, again, the Challenger has the 17-pounder. No idea why. It should have a 20-pounder or even the 32-pounder of the Churchill gun carrier. That would actually be a good gun to have at tier 7 with a turret. But no, it has the 17-pounder once again, because reasons. I really hope they buff that at some point. I'm not looking forward to the grind for the Challenger at all. Everybody seems to be agreed, that everybody I know that's played it, obviously, which is a fairly small sample size, but still, they all seem to be uniformly agreed that it's a pretty terrible machine. So again, top tier, I'm going to start off being fairly passive, because being aggressive in this thing, you don't really have the speed for going in and out and being very hit and run in that way. It's not that kind of vehicle at all. I'll probably set up on the 890 line. Now, the good thing about some situations with the reverse speed being faster is that it means if you need to, like for the vast majority of tanks, when you reverse, you go a hell of a lot slower than when you are going forwards, because, you know, obviously that's just the way that the gearing works. But the nature of this thing, because it's backwards mounted, means that you can reverse out of, you know, you can retreat very rapidly sometimes. But so, equally, having to drive, like if you having to drive backwards into a situation and then you get surprised by an unexpected tank, you then have to spin around your whole tank. And although the actual hull traverse is pretty good, it's still, you know, you're losing valuable whole seconds of time there. And even though it's open topped, you know, the view range isn't bad for tier 5. 360 plus the binoculars equals a respectable view range, and given the nature of the vehicle, you're going to be hoping to use cover where possible. But for an open-topped vehicle compared to some of the other open-topped tank destroyers that are around, 360 is a bit lackluster. Like, compare that to the T40 at tier 4, which I think gets 400. The French SC35, or the S35 rather, CA actually gets 400 as well at tier 5. So yeah, the new tank destroyers seem to have been, they're talking about nerfing view ranges for tank destroyers generally, and I think just generally across the board. And they seem to have preemptively done that with the new tank destroyers, even though they are technically open topped. So they are definitely less good for their tier. That was just a shot more than in hope than expectation. Kehoe is tier 4. Yeah, he's somebody that's on a mission, and none of us can actually get down there in time to do anything about it because I am not fast enough, and the T40 died. So, RIP that guy. We basically don't have anyone on this side of the map at all. Again, tier 5. But on this map, on Ruinberg, people seem to ignore 89 line an awful lot, even though it's actually quite a strategically important part of the map. And this is probably going to be RIP very soon, because he's almost certainly got friends back there. That was a terrible shot. No, this was just awful. Now this is the point where I'm going to go, run away! Because there is no backup on this flank. That StuG just got annihilated, and guess what? I'm next. And wow, we're not even at the 3-minute mark. This team has imploded utterly. Well, I was hoping to show you a decent game in the Archer, but with the last two teams, that's just not going to happen, is it? The reason I sometimes refer to tier 5 as still being like, I'll play some low tiers and I play tier 5, even though that technically, numerically speaking, that is of course mid tiers. But no, I call it the low tiers because it's still that low tier play style. Like this could be a tier 2 or a tier 3 battle, to be quite frank, with the way people are actually playing in this game. There is absolutely no thought about what's going on the map here. It's just people derping around. And in this case, dying within 3 minutes. And this is just amazing. And I'm the last person left alive. Hooray! No, it's fun though. The aim time on this could be a bit better. It'd be nice if the base view range was a little better, but I'm about to die. I might get another shot off. Oh look, there's a marked 3080 up the butt. So I didn't even get another shot off there. But yeah, no, that team was truly... yes, no, I think we can objectively say that team was bad. Like, there are times when you can say, oh, well, you get people blaming the team and really they performed pretty poorly. But there are other times when the team just doesn't give you a chance to do anything there. I actually had the highest look at that. That was just awful, really, wasn't it? I mean, that team was just bad, I think we can say. Yeah, no, well, so much for showing you a good Archer game. I'm going to wrap up the recording here. It would be nice to show you a good Archer game, but in terms of time, I have to, unfortunately, be quite aware of how long I'm recording for, because I still don't have those good internets yet, sadly, but maybe this year sometime. I keep saying that. I really hope it's going to be this year. Running a channel with ADSL internet speeds is not the best plan in the world. I would never recommend anyone going into it to actually don't do it with ADSL. I kind of was not aware when I went into it, and now I'm just kind of like stuck with it a bit. But anyway, yes, hopefully this year. So that's the Archer and the StuG. None of the games I showed you were particularly great games, but they were all top tier games, and unfortunately I got stuck with some not so great teams, especially in the case of the Archer, although we did win the StuG game, so yeah. But hopefully I will be playing these things a bit anyway. I'll certainly be playing the Archer as I grind through up to the Achilles. So if I have any good games, I'll show you replays in the usual fashion. It's just, Doing it live, there's always the risk that the games are going to be terrible. That is the point of doing this live, because of course all the replays that I put up are very pre-packaged and, you know, pre-selected. You get to see the interesting games. You don't necessarily get to see the average games, and these are some of my average games. So if you enjoyed this video, you can hit the like button, you can leave any comments below, you can subscribe to my channel, and as always, stay tuned for more.